Beyond being, a virtual assistant, you're kind of being like a business development coach, it sounds like.
Correct. Like an accountability partner, but more of a business consultant, business coach.
What's your favorite question you ask people during those calls?
What did you never think that you could do? What is something that you would like to do but never thought you could do?
Let's talk Tales. On this episode of Tales with Taylor, I'm chatting with a small business partner who enjoys sharing new strategies, skills, and ways to organize business tasks to keep momentum and growth. She partners with businesses of all sizes, from startups to companies with sustained growth. Her team continues to be inspired and intrigued with each relationship and business model. It's Alana Roberts. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much for being here. This is so fun. I know we've had the opportunity to collab with various clients and even work with each other in the past. And so I always love it when I get to sit down and have these face-to-face, 3D in-person conversations.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful to see you again.
I love seeing you too. You always have such a beautiful smile.
Oh, thank you.
And so I'd love to know, how did you first get involved in being, a virtual assistant? Because I feel like you've been doing it before it became a norm for people to want to consider a virtual assistant.
Yes, you're right. I would say 22 years ago, my sister had a client who was doing blogging and internet marketing. At the very beginning, I had not even heard of internet marketing at that time, and she needed help. So I started helping her with some blogging, and then she had a client that needed some help, some support. So I started working with her, helping her with her appointments, with her business tasks, blogging, setting up a website. And she's still a client of mine today, my very first client. So yes.
That is living proof that you do amazing work.
Yeah,
because if you're able to hold on to someone that long, that means you're doing some good things.
Yeah.
So you mentioned blogging. What are some other services that fit in the realm of being a virtual admin?
So what's wonderful about being a virtual assistant or I call it an executive concierge. So is that you can do anything. Anything that you learn a new skill, you can offer it as a service. So my clients are all over the map and they need different things because they're small businesses. Most of them are small businesses. So it could start with web design, creating their brand, helping them with video, which you've helped us with before, financial help, creating Excel spreadsheets for them, setting up appointments, did I say that? Pretty much anything that an entrepreneur might need help with that they don't want to do themselves, we take on those tasks. And what's wonderful is most of our clients don't need to have a full-time person in office. So they reach out to us and we can kind of fine-tune the amount of hours they need. We can work within their budget, work within the hours that they have available for us. And if they need a specific skill, if we don't have that skill set, we can take training and learn how to do that and then offer that skill to them. So it's a really nice collaborative relationship.
That's so much fun. And, a lot of times being a small business owner myself, your very first hire tends to be, that virtual assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And so what would you say, if someone was feeling overwhelmed, what's the quickest and easiest thing to delegate off to a virtual assistant like yourself?
Everybody's really different. A lot of it is email management. So they have 20,000 emails in their inbox. So if they give me access to that, I can sort through it, give them the most important things, handle some of their responses for them, clean out their trash, those kinds of things. So it's not so overwhelming because email inboxes can be very, very overwhelming to most clients.
Yeah.
That's probably the one thing that some of them will send over. But really, it's test it out. Whatever you feel like you need done right now and you just don't have time and that will make them feel less stressed is to pass it on to us and test it out, see how we do. And just get started, really just get started.
And I always love to know the why behind a brand. So I'd love to know, what made you choose your brand name and the colors that you use as well.
The colors I chose, I just think they're really vibrant. I always liked red. That's more of a burgundy, but cranberry, I think. But really I had Igor. I don't remember if you know who he was. He created that for me. He's amazing. And then virtual, because we can we'll virtually try anything. We'll learn a new skill if it's needed. We're virtual mostly on the internet. And we've been told that we're amazing. So I really like it. It fits, and it can expand into different areas if we need it to.
I love that little phrase too. I will virtually try everything, because I just assumed it was, being a virtual administration, a virtual assistant, not just you will virtually try anything. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, as we've been going, through the last few years, AI has really been coming up and about. How has AI helped you at all in what you're doing for people?
Well, I do have a team. I do have somebody that helps me with some social media, and then I have my IT guy who lives in Germany. He used to live here in Gilbert, and he lives in Germany. So he helps me with technical stuff. A lot of our clients do not want anything to do with AI.
Oh, really?
But we as a team like to use AI just as a tool, as a research tool, a reference tool. We haven't really used it as a specific tool for any of our clients. It's just the team will use it for research, but not that we're not willing to. And I think that it's something that 2026, we're going to get really involved in AI, learn as many tools as we can. There's so many out there and so many ways to use them.
And I've been finding personally that each AI system has its specialty. And so I personally like to use Claude for a lot of the writing aspects. If I'm trying to help it, hey, here's a jumbled mess of content, help me, organize it in a 150-word response. Claude's really great for that. ChatGPT, it's really good for, I feel like, here's a bunch of data points, put it into an Excel spreadsheet for me. Perplexity, I've been told, is really good for research. Which are some of the ones that you enjoy using for your team?
I like ChatGPT mostly.
Yeah.
If I have an idea of something, or I want to create a new document or a marketing plan, and I just don't know where to begin for this specific client, then I can ask Chat to help me with, feed in some information about that client and where their goals are, and they can at least give me a template. Yeah. I don't ever use it verbatim,
right? But
I love getting at least an idea. So it's really Chat is somebody that I can throw ideas, and we can work back and forth with just some ideas. But that's my favorite. Yeah, and then awesome. Of course Gemini, using it on Gmail and that kind of thing. True. So
yeah, there's so many different tools, and I can just see how it's you instantly gained a new team member.
Yes.
Especially the work that you do.
Yes.
It's just so, administrative, with the emails or the, information gathering that overnight, it's you gain 2 new team members.
Correct. And even creating social media posts, having some ideas. I have a few clients that are really difficult to come up with ideas for social media posts and some marketing campaigns. So Chat thinks out of the box, obviously. So it's helpful to use them just for ideas.
Excellent. You must love learning, because you're constantly having new tools thrown at you and new systems. Do you just have an innate joy of learning?
I do. It's my favorite thing. I am a lifelong learner. I do call myself that. And so if there's something that intrigues me, I'll go for it. Or even if a client says, I'd really like to learn how to do this, can you help me? And I don't very rarely say no. I'll usually say, yes, I'll try that at least, and take a class. And there's so many places to take classes online and on YouTube that you can learn a skill pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then if we want to go down the path where we're really going to be an expert in a certain area, then we'll work with the client and learn those skills.
That's
to help
so
them with their
good.
business.
That's so good for your brain, just to constantly be, because that's what they say you should be doing. If you're not constantly learning, then you're just dying.
Exactly.
And especially I think nowadays with all the research around dementia and Alzheimer's, it's you got to keep that muscle active.
Exactly. Study, read.
And so speaking of reading, what are some books that you absolutely love that have inspired you, or you just enjoy?
I am all over the map. So I am a CASA, which is a court-appointed special advocate for foster children. Mm-hmm. So I read a lot of true stories of foster children. So I balance those out with a lot of spiritual reading. So I love Michael Singer and his Untethered Soul. So I just love spiritual reading. And then I try to throw in some novels in there, like Ellen Hildebrandt, and those are my beach reads. And then I really have not gotten into business reading lately. I used to read a lot of business books, Who Ate My Cheese or whatever that one was. So I used to read all those all the time, but I've really switched over to, the spiritual reads, the true story about children and children's lives. But I like to watch YouTube videos for other skill reading, but I don't read books about that.
That's great. Well, hey, we know statistically you're going to remember a lot more when you watch a video
Yes.
than when you were just to read anyway. So it's
Yes.
probably good if you're really trying to learn a skill set. And
Yes.
so were you always this way? Were you always, as a young child, just trying different things and learning them? Or, tell me a little bit about, little Alana.
I don't believe that I was that inspired as a child to read and learn. I was always into spirituality. I think I came out that way, and I was always into spirituality. Then out of high school, I thought I wanted to be a nurse, and then I got hired at a community college, worked for the president of a community college in Detroit, and learned whatever they needed me to learn at that level. And then I got hired by Mazda. I worked for Mazda for a while when they first came over to Detroit to make cars. So I worked there in one of their labs. And then my daughter got sick. She had asthma. She was little, like 3, had asthma attack in the doctor's office and stopped breathing. So I quit working and started in-home daycare. And I did that for almost 18 years in-home daycare.
Wow.
Ran my own business. It was very successful. We had probably 150 to 200 kids come through there in the years that I did it. Still connect with the kids now and their kids.
Aww.
They're having kids. So there's always been children in my life that have run through everything I've done. And then my husband wanted to retire here. And so we moved here, and I just started volunteering, doing Red Cross disaster work with the disaster teams with Red Cross. Got hired at Gilbert Police Department as a 911 operator. I did that for a while. Then my mom got sick, so I ended up going home for a while she was very ill. Quit the police department, and then I was open to do whatever I wanted to do. So that's when I started to do the virtual services. But childhood, not so much as a little person, being the type that was inspired by anything at that time. It was mostly spirituality that I was inspired by. But being a part of kids' lives has always been my inspiration. That the golden thread that's run through my life is being with kids, and hence the foster system right now, working with kids in foster care and grandkids. We have 9 grandkids.
Wow.
The 4 little ones are here, so we're at sports constantly and just, texting kids. And so it's pretty nice.
That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, you've always had such a big heart. I know we've worked together with Backpacks for Prosperity. So is that still going on? Or?
Yes.
Oh, so can you share more about what that
Yes.
is and how people can support?
So I remember driving around the valley, networking
Yeah.
for business, and seeing the amount of homeless population that we have here in Phoenix and the East Valley. And so I always wanted to be of service and help whoever I came across. So decided to create a project. It's Packs for Prosperity, and it's part of the Simple Rules Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And we collect essential supplies for the homeless and create backpacks that you can keep in the next seat next to you or behind you. And so if you see someone that's in need, you can hand them the backpack, and it has some essential supplies, maybe some snack packs in there and water bottles and things like that. It's evolved over the years, what we put into the pack, but sometimes we'll just have a stack of like McDonald's gift cards, for a meal or something, and hand those out. And then lately, the Packs for Prosperity has evolved to support and help overflow missions. My girlfriend runs that nonprofit.
Okay.
It's out of Mesa, and she has a food pantry in Mesa.
Mm-hmm.
And so she does a lot of home feeding at different, like Midwest Food Bank and things like that. We do feeding people there and handing out, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and things like that. So most of my essential packs that I collect, I give to her so that she can actually disseminate them at the feeding, the dinners that she serves. So yeah, it's still going on.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's definitely still a problem with homelessness and not getting the supplies that they need. I know you're saying like socks were such a big need for them and so forth. And so, how can people support that organization or the organization that you said your friend's doing?
Yes, they can reach out to Overflow Missions.
Okay.
It's over-flowmissions.com, and they can donate cash there, money there. She's always doing drives for like Thanksgiving. They did over 100 meals that they put together for.
It's amazing and sad all in the same.
Very much so. And then I have one of my clients, Nicholas Capel with H2E Aromatherapy, and he gives me a lot of his samples of his lotions and body supplies. So we use a lot of his products in our packs. You can also reach out to packsforprosperity.com. That's my website. And just support us with supplies, backpacks for sure, and then food for overflow missions is always great too.
Perfect. We'll make sure to put those links in the show notes, and that way you can support. All right, we're going to revert it back to business now for a little bit, but I definitely want to touch base about that. And so I would love to know, is there a particular industry that you prefer to work with, or is there a type of business owner you prefer to work with?
I like business owners that don't micromanage, because I like to be given a task, our team given a task, and let us go ahead and do what we need to do. Any business is wonderful. The small businesses I like the best because they're or the startups are the best for me, because you can really help them see what the capabilities the opportunities that they have for their business, and we can help them to create those plans to get to the next level. But our clients are all over the map. I mean, we have small business owners like own spas, and like Nicholas with the aromatherapy products. We have authors, we have doctors. But yeah, they're all over the place. And a few of them, they're doing their own podcasts now. So I'm helping them with those. And it's just, I like the ones that are open and that we can help to inspire them to, do the next thing they want to do, let their dreams go and take it to the next level.
Lovely. Yeah. And you mentioned public podcasts. You're just doing all these different things. What would you say is the most underutilized tool that business owners, should be considering using or doing?
I think it's the virtual assistant. Yeah, I think that's the tool. That you don't have to do it all on your own, that you can find someone that can help you fill in the gaps in your day and in your workflow, because we can help in all different ways, little ways to big ways, to help them recreate their website. And if we don't have the capacity to do what they need done, then we have people that we can call on, like video people, and that have a greater skill than we do, and we have no problem saying, no, we'd rather have you use this person to help you with that task. So yeah, just keeping it open and inspiring them to reach the goal that they're looking for.
Yeah, no one can do it all if they're going to try to grow. You got to definitely delegate. And one of my clients, Vanessa Shaw, she always talks about staying in your center of genius. And it's like, what are the things that only you and you can uniquely do? Everything else is just outside noise that really you can delegate off. And for many people, hiring someone can be really intimidating. You have to think, oh, now I got to pay for this salary. Maybe you have to, if you're actually hiring them full time, are we doing health insurance? What are the benefits? And for a startup, that could just be, detrimental to have that overhead instantly. Right. And so you're kind of that nice tie-in where you're able to get that, executive assistant, but not at a full W-2 rate.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And it can be by project. It can be an ongoing thing. It could be, we're always answering your emails, or it could be, I need help while I'm on vacation, things like that. Okay. So smaller things. But one thing just came to me is that I really love doing with my clients, and several of them do it, is we have, like an accountability call weekly or monthly or whenever. And they just kind of empty their brain, and we help to sort through what they're thinking.
Is this a team call or one-to-one?
Usually just one-to-one.
Okay.
Myself with the client. And I really like those because we always having a conversation with somebody about what you're doing and who knows your business. They can hear things that they didn't even think of. So I get that a lot. Like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh, that's a great idea. And both ways, it works both ways. So I really enjoy those calls.
That's amazing. So beyond being, a virtual assistant, you're kind of being like a business development coach, it sounds like.
Correct. And like an accountability partner, but more of a business consultant, business coach.
What's your favorite question you ask people during those calls?
What did you never think that you could do? What is something that you would like to do but never thought you could do?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can see how that could stir up a lot of fun things.
Yes.
And then, find solutions off of that.
And they might let that go at that conversation, but then, they're thinking about it, and they come back a few weeks later and say, remember when you said that? I was thinking about this, and I have put that on the back burner for way too long, and now I want to take it to fruition.
Okay. So what's something for you that you haven't done that you think
Well, this year I'm thinking, is it supposed to be my year of adventure?
Okay.
So I want to kick it up a notch and be more adventurous because I'm pretty cautious about things. So this show was an adventure for me to come here and say yes to being here because public speaking is not my thing usually. And although I feel like I'm kind of rambling a little bit today, but
great.
public speaking is not usually my thing, and it usually causes a lot of fear. Doing more of that, a little bit more, and then just saying yes to more things. Want to decide that I've decided that Fridays are going to be my field trip Friday. So I'm on a field trip right now.
Fun.
And so I need to fill in my Fridays and see what new things I can do over the next year, the next however many Fridays there are available.
Yeah.
Maybe travel more too. That's not the priority, but that's one of my things that I like to do.
It's definitely an adventure. That's
Yes.
for sure.
Yes. My business partner, my IT guy, York, his name's York, lives in Germany. So make a business trip to see him. And
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
It's always great when you go travel and you know someone in that space. It just makes it a little more comfortable. They could show you where the good places are to eat and things like that.
Exactly. And he'd be a good tour guide.
So what are other yeses you want to make then? You came onto this show. This is my first of many that you're going to be doing this year.
I think expand our team a little bit.
Okay.
We do have this, I could use a really good marketing person. Mostly marketing is a missing piece. We do some marketing, but we are not a marketing company. We're a virtual service. So just look at more ways that we can help people to build their brand. More graphic design. I do some, but I'd like to get someone on our team that's really into the graphic design.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite tools to use?
Oh, I love WordPress. I mean, I love working on computer websites, and I love learning the plugins for WordPress and how they work and help people to, do the tasks that they want their website to do. Yeah. So I think WordPress is my favorite. I love doing PowerPoints. That's a good tool. The phone. I like talking rather than the texting and the emails. Let's use the phone more. Let's talk to each other.
So true. The text, you could read the same text in 5 different tones and take 5 different, feelings from that versus when you hear someone's voice, you really know what tone they're coming at. I completely agree with that.
Yes.
And so you were mentioning that you love WordPress, which is definitely one of the more popular website builders. How often should people be updating their website?
It depends on what business they're in, but having some kind of update done on a regular basis, especially take a total review of your website on a regular basis. They should be checking their updates monthly. We do monthly updates for all of our clients that we have a contract with. And if they don't do it themselves, we're available to do that on a monthly basis. So you go in there and you check to make sure that the WordPress operating system is up to date and all the plugins that you use are up to date, your shopping cart's up to date. And then also review the content to make sure it's still relevant to your business and what you're doing, what you're actively doing, and make some changes. Adding a blog so that you have new content all the time. Google loves that, as you've told me a lot of times about video content, SEO. So just really don't forget that your website's out there. Remember that it needs some maintenance and some love every once in a while.
Yeah, it needs to be living and breathing and showing that it's up to date for the search engines. It's not just to keep it looking pretty.
Right. It's not just your front door. It's so much more than that.
Yes. And so with blogging, how often do you recommend people to post a new blog?
I think at least twice a week would be nice. A lot of people don't do that. They'll do maybe once a month or every every other week. But I think twice a week for new content, and it keeps people informed. And lets people know that you're an expert at your brand and what you're trying to sell and the service that you're providing. Most of my clients do weekly blog posts, which is really nice. And then it gives us the ability to repurpose those blog posts to social media content and create video to go along with their blog posts. So, I think more often is better. A lot of people can't. But they can also hire that out too.
I was about to say, is that something that your team would do? Would you write out a full blog if someone just spitballed some topics? Would you be able to develop it from there?
Yes, we do that a lot for a few of our clients. We do very regularly. We create their blog posts for them. They just give us some ideas of what the next month's going to look like, and then we help them to creates the content for that.
Lovely. And,
Yeah.
What do you think makes a good blog? What makes a good converting blog?
I think it's something that tells a story and something that teaches something, and also shows, what your business is about.
Yeah.
So I think you should incorporate all of those. I like the ones that have something to share, something to learn from.
Yeah, value-based marketing is, what we always tell our clients to focus on too. When you think about the types of videos you're going to be producing, you really want to focus on testimonials. That's your third-party validation. We need some introduction videos to have, on the homepage of the website. But then the majority of your campaign are what we call SSME, search and subject matter expert videos.
Yes.
Because, people are online looking for answers.
That's right.
Half the time when someone's Googling something, they're Googling, how do I do this? Or how does this work? Or how to fill in the blank. And you want to be that subject matter expert filling in the blank.
Correct. Correct. I love that.
Yes. What are some of your goals that you have, especially now, like you said, you want to add to the team, what are some other goals that you have for you and your business?
That's a good question. This is a year of adventure. So I'm going to explore that a little bit more. I don't have, any fine-tuned plan for the growth, but the graphic design part, for me personally, I'd like to learn more about graphic design. We can do so much now with different tools, Canva and things like that, but I want to be able to do it myself and see how I can create on my own, be more creative. And then, expand the team, get a few more people on board, so that I can someday retire and be able to pass the business off to someone else. That's my goal, is to be able to build the business so that I can pass it off to somebody else and I can retire.
Would it be one of your many grandkids you're going to pass it to, you think?
Yes.
Is there anyone in the family singing?
Yes. I have some very creative grandkids. One of them does a lot of YouTube videos. He's in Michigan. He does a lot of YouTube videos, and they're all creative. Everybody's really very creative. So it would be nice to do that. The problem with retiring, I always think about retiring, but my business is so mobile that if I want to work, I can take my business with me on vacation. I work from my laptop mostly. So even when I'm on vacation, I'm dipping into my workflow. So because I love it so much, it's just I can use it and do it wherever I'm at. So
and that's the greatest thing, is that you're enjoying it. And that's what they always say. It's like, find what you love to do, and then you're really never working a day in your life. And then really don't ever need to do the full retirement. You know, you can just pick and choose and do the projects that you want to do.
Yes.
And so
still have the team running the business, but pick and choose what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
Because I still like to work, and I like the biggest thing is I like the interaction with the business owners. So the one-on-one accountability calls I would probably continue to do, and then have the team, handle the projects
the actual work of it all.
Right.
Yes, that would be amazing. Yeah. And so, you had mentioned previously too how you're part of CASA. How'd you get involved with that? And talk to me more about that.
I saw that on Instagram or social media about being a court-appointed advocate. That there's so many children in the state of Arizona and across the nation that need support. They may not have parents that are a part of their life anymore, so they could use an advocate. And so CASAs, we are court appointed by a specific court for a specific child, and you're just the advocate for that child with the court. And we do visits, we check in with the people in their life, and we advocate solely for the welfare of that child. And so, it's been very inspiring. Some heartbreaking cases that you see, but some really wonderful things that you also can see within the system, and how a CASA can be the light for the child to, have the changes made within their family, with their life. So, and for them to know that they have someone that they can call anytime and meet with, and just be their voice for the court for them.
You mentioned you saw an Instagram post. Like, what was it about the post that compelled you? I feel like I scroll through so many different things that, it doesn't make me stop scrolling, but it got you to stop.
It got me to stop. And there again is the children in my life, and so whenever I see something about a child that's not being cared for. I relate to that, and I wanted to know more about that. So I reached out to the office, and there's extensive training, privacy, and all kinds of things about court reports and about the judicial system and the Department of Social Services and things like that. And so I had pretty good extensive training, and then you meet with someone within the system, and they talk to you about different children that could use a CASA or are available for a CASA, and then you start working with them. But yeah, there's a lot of good social media information about being a CASA. So if you're interested in being a CASA, just reach out to, I'm not sure what their website's name is, but you can probably find
put it in the show notes for you. So it's easy to find. And so were you able to pick and choose then the child to represent? Or
no,
they
offer you different cases, and then you can pick and choose.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're comfortable with a certain, gender, age group, you can choose, but you end up getting the situation that you're meant to get. So, it's pretty rewarding. It's pretty rewarding.
And how long have you been doing it?
Been doing it almost 5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a big commitment.
Yeah.
A lot of training involved, and but it's totally worthwhile.
Well, it's a good thing you like to learn, too.
Yes.
You're going to learn all those
always learning.
rules.
Yeah, there's education requirements for it ongoing, so continue to do that. So that's a big part of my
How do you keep the energy to do all the different things? Because to me, it almost feels like CASA could be one full-time gig that you're doing. You have your business that you're growing and adding to adding teams to. Adding teams can be a whole process in terms of having a business. How do you keep your energy up?
I'm walking. I'm trying to eat right, trying to do all the right things, having a spiritual practice, do a lot of meditation. I have a really nice meditation group that I work with. We work together, and we have a nice facilitator that helps us with that.
Oh, nice.
That's the key, taking time for yourself, self-care for sure. But the days are long. There's a lot you can accomplish in a day. Not that I try to jam myself up, but the weekends, there's a lot of spare time on the weekends. And I use it, I'm at a hockey rink, or I'm on a soccer field, or just watching a movie with my husband. We've been married 43 years. We've watched a lot of movies together, that's for sure. But I just feel like there's so much we can do with our day, and that we could help others. I've got a few older people in my life right now in their 80s that have reached out because they need help with, setting up appointments, or taking them to a doctor's visit, or just sitting down with them in a coffee shop and helping them with their email and things like that. So they find me. I don't have to go looking to help people anymore. They find me. So it's just being available and saying yes. And they give me the energy that I need. The people that I work with give me the energy to do the next right thing, and to be available to them in service in some way. Some days I think, oh my gosh, like my phone's going crazy. Like today driving here, the phone was going crazy. And it's like one thing at a time, if we just take, one thing at a time and do it well, try to do it well, be there for others. And
I still find it amazing that you have just so much energy, though, because I feel like so many business owners I talk to, they say I need to try to say no more. And you're like, I need to say yes more to things.
Say yes more to things. And it's not just the business part, because that's not my whole priority of my life. It's not my whole life. It's a piece of my life.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us forget that our life is, it's got different pieces to it, different pieces of the pie. And my Amazingly Virtual is just a small piece of it. Kids are a big part, and marriage and family and the community, my neighborhood.
You have a gorgeous neighborhood. You do love your neighborhood.
I love my neighborhood. Yeah. My little buddy who lives a couple doors down, Michael, he pushes me to go for walks every day because he wants to talk and I need to walk. And so he'll take me out for a walk. So we're going to go for a walk. And so, keeps me in the neighborhood, attached to the neighbors. And
in Arizona, my goodness, we can walk, all year.
All year.
Yes. We definitely have good weather here.
Yes, and swimming. Yes. Swimming is great.
Yeah. And so 43 years of marriage, that is amazing.
It is.
For those of us who, want to reach to that level and beyond, what would be some, marriage advice you give people, especially being not only, being in a good, happy marriage, but you did it while starting and doing a business. Like that takes up a lot of time and there needs to be a lot of compromise. And so, how were you able to successfully navigate that? And what would be advice you'd give to other couples?
So we got married, I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And he had 3 children already in their teens. So I took on, these teenagers. And then we had 2 more. So the biggest thing I think that the reason our marriage has lasted 43 years is we've always been friends. We started out as best friends, and our friendship has sustained us through everything. We're not fighters. We don't fight. We don't yell. We may discuss something, over and over again about a specific situation. But no, the bottom line is that we're friends and we like each other, and we have history and we love the kids. We love all 5 kids, and the grandkids are just, we adore them. His dream was to move to Arizona. And so, we left a lot of our family in Michigan.
And so you met first in Michigan?
We met in Michigan, yeah.
Okay. And where in Michigan? You mentioned you were working in Detroit, so.
South of Detroit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Trenton and Riverview. And I did meet him when I was in high school. He was a swim coach. I didn't swim, and track coach. And I wasn't into sports at all, but my girlfriends ran for him and swam on his team. And so I met him. He was a speaker in some of our classes. And so I met him there. Mm-hmm. And then when I moved into an apartment, he lived in the same apartment building.
Oh, wow.
And he had just gotten a divorce. And so we met and we went out for coffee a few times and ended up getting married. But yeah, so we've known each other. Well, we've been married 43 years. And I met him probably when I was 17.
Wow.
I met him, yeah.
That's amazing. That's a fun story.
Yeah, it's a really good story.
Yeah, friendship is key. That is definitely true. You got to have that friendship. I know with Eric and I, we started as friends. We were even started at being business owners together before we even officially started dating. So
yes,
equally having that core friendship.
Yeah, something we do. We have to have that core respect and that we're always there for each other no matter what.
And so, how did he react when you told him that you were going to start your own business?
Well, he's always been my best cheerleader, I feel. Mm-hmm. I had a daycare in our house for almost 18 years. We used the lower level, and he would come home from work, and he would just rile them all up. They loved him, and he'd come downstairs and rile them all up and clean up all the diapers and take the trash out and things like that and shovel the snow for the moms coming up, in their high heels and that kind of thing. So he's always been an advocate for me and my businesses. And that was a big one. The daycare was a big commitment.
That is.
Our whole family's part.
Yeah.
But he's never said anything about what I'm doing as far as my business goes. He just, go ahead, do what you need to do, and supports me, attends different things that I need to go to. And has always really liked the clients I've worked with, and especially the daycare moms that were dropping off and picking up. But, he's always been my cheerleader.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, not everyone has that support system. I've heard too many stories of, people being questioned about what you're doing because it's just not the traditional path to, go find a job, get the pension and all the things. And so that's great that you have someone there to support you.
Yeah, and always being home. Well, most of the jobs that I've had were work from home except for the 911. And working for Mazda, but those were short-lived. The other ones have all been work from home, working for myself.
Yeah.
And so I think he liked that too. Dinner was always ready and things like that. So that still is.
Yes.
I'm 30. I still have his dinner ready, but.
Yeah, well, I can relate to that. I'm a vegetarian, but I know how to cook meat.
Yes, exactly. Same with me. I'm vegetarian and he's a meat eater. So
yes.
I can do that. I can throw that on. But it's been a good partnership.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. And so, one big question I always have to ask. What's your favorite animal with a tail?
What's my favorite animal? Dogs, for sure. Dogs.
Dang it.
I know. Is that a hard one?
I'm a cat person. I'm team cat. But no, it's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I like being an aunt to a dog where, I can play with it, but then when it needs to go out and poop, it's like, hey, get your dog.
Yes.
So-
We are animal free.
Okay.
We had 2 Yorkies since we moved here, and they both passed away. But miss them. But we tried a new puppy back last December, and we lasted a week. We had to return it to the breeder.
Oh, what happened?
I'm over it. I don't like my sleep interrupted and the whole taking them out. And we're at that point right now where we can do whatever we want to do. And so felt bad about leaving a puppy even for a minute.
Right.
Well,
the cool thing about dogs is you can kind of bring them places.
Yeah. I'm over it. I think he really wanted to get another animal, and a puppy, a dog. And so we tried it. And I think he agrees too, that this was a good thing. We're at that point where we can go to Detroit or go, go on vacation and not have to worry about an animal, even leaving to go to the store.
It's so true. It's so much easier to have your adventures that you want to have. You don't have to worry about that other being that, you can only train so much. That's another reason why I've joked too. I don't want any more kids, but I've joked I'd rather have another kid before we have a dog.
Yes.
Because at least the kid's going to grow up and learn how to do things on their own.
Right. We live in a condo in a community, so, worry about neighbors and things like that. So, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, at least you gave it a try,
Yeah, we gave it a try.
That's good that you're willing to give it a try. And, similar to another guest I was just speaking to, like the permission to pivot. I feel like so many people will make a decision and go, here's my decision. I need to sit with it, do it, hate it, work through it, and then, just resent the time that they spent doing that decision. But instead, having that permission to pivot and go, maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe I don't want to be, working at the police station because it's just not going to fit your ideal goals. It's great that you gave yourself the permission to pivot and do other things.
What I'm noticing about myself through meditation is being more aware of what works and what doesn't work. And I've noticed recently, and the puppy was one thing that I was aware that I realized what wasn't for me anymore. That's not for me. And it was quicker because I've seen other decisions that I've made in the past, even in the past 5 years, working with some clients that I no longer can work with, or I don't want to work, I don't choose to work with. That my decision-making to pivot comes much more quickly than it used to.
And you said those through meditation, that's helped you do that?
Yes, to be more aware of myself, my thinking, how I sleep, my body, how does it make me feel? How does working with this person make me feel? How do I feel about myself with them in their presence? Including the puppy,
Yeah.
That was just such a cool experience to watch the awareness that I love this little puppy. It's the cutest little thing, but it's affecting me in different ways that I don't want. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So if someone's, a total new to meditation and even still struggles with the idea of being silent for that long, how would you recommend someone really diving into meditation in order to, it seems like, help your overall well-being? It seems like it's helped you give clarity on decision-making. How do you recommend people getting into meditation?
Just try it. So really it is about being quiet, being silent, being quiet. You can do it anywhere. When you go for a walk, just really pay attention to maybe what you hear, what you see, without naming what you're hearing, what you're seeing. Just take it in without any interaction, just awareness. And the more you do it, you don't have to do it for a long period of time if you don't want to, but the longer you do it, the more you become aware of what you're not aware of. And that's the thing too is, I used to not listen to my gut about things, and my gut is my place that I feel things. And
they say your gut's your first brain.
Exactly. And if you're not even aware of it, something else is running your life, where if you're more aware, and then you can pivot and you can make some changes and, make the decisions for yourself that are meaningful. I love being in my pool right outside the condo because we have pine trees and palm trees all around, and it's beautiful. The birds are flying. The sky's blue. It's beautiful. And just being in the pool and being aware of the water and the heat and the blue sky and the birds and not having a discussion with any of it.
Oh man.
Just feeling it and being aware of it. And then some days when I'm in the pool and there's construction and things, going on, that I'm aware that, whoa, I'm disturbed by that, and I should not be disturbed by that. So then I have more work to do to not be disturbed.
Interesting.
So it bleeds into every part of your life the more you do it.
I gotta try. I don't know why the idea of silence just. I grew up in one of those households. You turn on the TV just to have a noise in the background.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, she'll fall asleep with the TV on just to feel like someone's there.
Yeah.
And I kind of adapted some of that, where the idea of silence. I don't know why. It can't do more than 30 seconds, I feel. I've also been one of those people, like, if you're sitting next to me on an airplane, I'm going to talk to you. Like,
okay.
I can't help it. And so, yeah.
I live in really quiet now. Our house is quiet. The TV goes on after dinner.
Yeah.
But the rest of the day, it is quiet. Like, it is quiet. My laptop and my fingers on my keyboard, that's about it. But I never used to be like that.
Yeah.
And now I love it. I drive. I don't have the radio on when I'm driving hardly ever anymore.
Wow.
We miss so much.
What was the transition point? Like, what was the moment where you were like, I need to be more aware and to do this? Like, what was that pivot transition point for you to know?
I'm not even sure how that came about. I did meditation and yoga and that in Michigan. One of my sisters was an instructor, an amazing instructor. So she planted that seed.
Yeah.
I was always prayerful, so I always, prayed even as a little kid. But I think when we moved here, I was more aware of being distracted and being uncomfortable. And then a friend of mine mentioned that she was in a meditation group in Scottsdale. And so she invited me to one of hers. So I went. Okay. And then we started doing some retreats together. And all through COVID, we did meditation on Zoom. And we just kept taking it deeper and deeper. All of us, we can see how all of us are taking it deeper and deeper. And you notice it when you do it. You do notice in yourself the changes that are happening. And so it's pretty beautiful. It's pretty profound.
But it sounds like community helped really push
yes.
it. First with your sister, with the exposure, and then you found the community. If you're with like-minded people, it makes anything easier. Really.
Exactly. And the conversations we would have around it too.
Yeah.
We wouldn't just be quiet and do meditation. We would come out of it and discuss how you feel, or, what changes are happening with you, and how it's happening in your life. What are you doing differently in your life because of it? And so those exchanges, especially during COVID, was phenomenal.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This has been such an insightful conversation. I feel like my spirit's feeling fuller. I have some ideas of things that I should potentially be trying to do. And thank you for that. And so as we're coming to a close, if you were to give business owners one bit of advice, and it could be, something spiritual, or it could be something, concrete, like, hiring a virtual assistant, what would be that one bit of advice you'd give people?
I think it's do the thing that you always wanted to do. And don't be afraid to try it. And if you need help, you can always hire a virtual assistant.
There you go.
And just say yes.
Say yes. I love that. It's just such an opposite theme from what I normally hear from people, that, sometimes you do need to say yes to more things. Get out of that comfort zone.
That's right.
Play, have fun, because when you really think about what's the worst that could happen, most of the time the worst isn't that bad.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Go out there, do what you dream to do. And if you need assistance, the key is delegation.
Exactly.
Delegate it out to people who are experts in those fields, who are able to help you reach to those goals, because there's millions of people in the world with different skill sets. Find those people with those unique skill sets, or those unique abilities to learn new things like you do and your team does, to just get the job done.
Yep. Just do it.
Excellent. Just like what Nike says. I know, it's such a good slogan.
It
You
is.
just nailed it with that slogan.
Yes. Wish I would have said it first.
Right. I know. We all do. Well, thank you again so very much for taking time out of your busy day to be with me and to just share your insights. Lots of great information. And again, if you're looking to get more things done, connect with Alana and her team. They are amazingly virtual, who can virtually do anything to help you reach your goals.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Tales with Taylor. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Financial Potion YouTube channel to never miss an episode.